Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today. So, today's episode is actually one that is based off of a conversation that I was having with a client this week. And it's something that I talk to a lot of people about, but it was really kind of, I was thinking about it a lot this week. And so I thought, we're just going to make this our episode. I also want to tell you that I'm starting to plan less for these episodes. I think some topics require more planning than others just because there's some really important points I want to try to make and examples that I want to bring up. But then there are certain topics that I'm trying, as I learn more about myself and grow in this process of even making these podcasts, I'm trying to not have to do that as much and not have to quote unquote be perfect and do it exactly the way I want to. So last week's episode was unplanned. I just kind of started talking, and that's what's happening this time. So at first I thought that was like, oh, I don't have time, that's why I'm winging it. But I actually intentionally didn't sit down and plan this one out. Last week I didn't plan it out because I didn't make time for it, and this week I didn't want to make time for it because I just wanted to kind of see how this goes. And it kind of ties in well with the topic today. So I've had conversations a lot with people, a lot of women, but also men, but it seems to be more common among women about the need for perfection and the need for just being really, really good at the things that we do and the things that we accomplish. And on paper, it sounds really good that we should prepare for the things we do. We should really give a solid effort, do our best, all of that. But the reality is sometimes our best is really not that great because we just, other circumstances in our lives prevent us from doing really well. So if my best is, less awesome than someone else's best, that can be a problem for me if I compare myself to other people or if I measure my success based on other people's success. But if my best is based on me and kind of the criteria that I create for myself, then it won't be so bad that my best isn't so great. And that's kind of the foundation of this topic is, what does it mean to do really well? What does it mean to do your best? Because so many people feel so badly about themselves or so kind of less than, or that their self-worth is based on how well they do. And that is so hard because it can be such a slippery slope because sometimes you just don't do very well in things. If you have other things going on in your life that prevent you from giving 100%, then you're not going to do your best. Or your best, the definition of your best has to change because of the other circumstances in your life. So my thought on that is that there's no such thing as perfect, right? I think that's pretty common. That's not like this life-changing thought, but do we really stop to think about that, or is that something we just say? We say, oh, well, there's no such thing as perfect. We say it to other people when we try to make them feel better. If you know someone who didn't get 100 on their test, if your kid doesn't get 100 on every test and you're trying to reassure them, you might say, well, you're going to mess up. Sometimes you're not going to get a perfect score every time. Or if you're, an athlete, or if you were an athlete or your kid's an athlete and they lose some of their games or they strike out or they miss a shot when they're playing basketball, whatever, you're going to hopefully be somewhat reassuring and say, you're not going to win them all. Sometimes you're going to lose. And we're really good at telling other people that. I think generally speaking, kind people are reassuring to other people and try to validate that you can't always win and you can't always be perfect. But I don't think we give ourselves that same treatment. We're not as kind to ourselves. We're not as comforting to ourselves. A lot of people expect perfection out of themselves, and it's not always viewed that way. So like some people will absolutely tell me like, I expect myself to be perfect. I'm a perfectionist. If I don't do this really well, then I feel bad about myself. And then there are some people who don't realize they are perfectionists. They just live in this state of dissatisfaction with themselves, really feeling insecure or just less than. And ultimately, it kind of comes out later as we're talking that it's because they are expecting themselves to be really, really great or perfect. So, expectations that are set too high, that's a recipe for disappointment. You know, if your expectation is that you're always going to be really good at what you do, you're going to be disappointed. It's not possible to always be amazing at what you do, but it's amazing how much that actually plays out in day-to-day life for a lot of people. It's very, very common. I've done it. I work on it. You know, I don't feel like I do it as much just because I try to be really reasonable. But I also talk to a lot of people that struggle with this. So I learn about myself as I talk to them. But so this particular client, and you know who you are, we've been talking about the need for perfection and how much that's rooted in what we see in other people. So if I'm a mom, which I am, but if I'm a mom that looks at social media a lot and I look at how other people, um, dress their kids and the pictures of the kids together, or the food their kids are eating, or how well everyone's getting along, or how well put together these people are themselves, or if I'm, a man who is an athlete, or like I enjoy sports, and I look at someone else online and they're running marathons and they're, checking all these things off their bucket list and really, really in shape, but I maybe personally may not be that great in shape and my exercise routine isn't that hardcore. Or if I'm if I'm a golfer and, I bust my butt trying to do really well and I enjoy the sport, but I'm really trying to get those good scores, which by the way, I know nothing about golf, so I'm making this up as I go. And then I look at someone else, so another friend goes golfing with me and they just do better than me, then I might compare myself to them. So my achievement or my success is going to be automatically compared to theirs. They might not be comparing me, but I'm comparing me because that's what we do. A lot of people are very focused on defining their success based on how other people do. And I don't think it's something that we all do intentionally. I think it just happens kind of automatically. That's essentially what social media is. I think it's an opportunity to show the world what we do and what we're proud of and how happy we are. And what that does is causes other people to look at that and compare their situation to our situation and vice versa. And before you know it, a standard has been set or an expectation has been set that, hey, if I want to go, if my kid goes into school, then I'm expecting that I'm going to get the perfect picture in the morning on the first day of school with the little sign that says first day of school, blah, blah, blah. But if my picture doesn't come out as cute as your kid's picture, there are people who get really, really devastated about that. That is, first world problems, right? But when you're in that, when your worth is based on being able to get the perfect shot and post it on Facebook for other people to see and have people praise you for your accomplishment. And if you don't get that and you don't receive the level of validation or praise that you're looking for, and then you just feel like crap about yourself, for some people, that can be complete mood shattering. It can leave you feeling so worthless, so bad about yourself. And if you are not the kind of person that experienced this, you might look at that and be like, that's ridiculous. Why would anyone feel that way? But the reality is so many people feel that way. I can tell you, if I was to do some kind of survey on the number of people that walk through my doors for counseling who struggle with some kind of insecurity because of a comparison issue, it would be a tremendously high number. So many people. So it's a very common thing. And if you don't struggle with those maybe smaller things in comparison, I imagine if you gave it enough thought, you'd find that you do compare yourself to other people in some capacity in your life. We all do it. Even the people who say, I don't care what other people think, I just don't believe that that's true. I think in certain situations, you may not care what people think. You may be really confident in yourself in certain subjects or things that you do in your life, and that's fantastic. But I'm pretty sure that every single one of us at some point in our lives compares ourselves to other people in some way. And that comparison brings about a negative feeling or a hurt or disappointment of some sort. We all do it. So the question here is, how do you define success? If you know that your expectations are not really fair, so if you would be willing to give someone else advice that you don't follow, that's a good start. You want to look at that and be like, okay, well, how come when my friend or colleague is going through something, or my family member, I give them this advice or I encourage them in this way, but then when it's me and I'm having to do something, I don't follow that. I still compare myself. I still feel bad about myself. Then that's a good start. That's how you know maybe your expectations for yourself are too high. If there is, well, okay, so let's go back to that definition of success. How do you define success? How do you define personal success? Because I can look at someone else who the circumstances in their life allow them to have more free time, or maybe they're just more naturally good at something, or they've had training in something. Well, so they're going to be able to accomplish something that maybe my circumstance won't allow. Maybe my time is framed differently and I don't have availability to do something. I don't have training in something. I'm not naturally good at something. Then I have to be able to look at myself and say, okay, well, if I'm expecting myself to meet the expectation that I would have for that, or let me rephrase that. If I'm expecting myself to accomplish what that person has accomplished, then I'm going to be disappointed. I'm setting myself up for failure. But if I say, okay, well, I'm probably not going to do that. I'm not going to be able to hit that goal the way that they did. So what is a more realistic goal for me? Well, if I'm trying to lose weight and my friend is trying to lose weight and she has a routine or a schedule that allows for daily workouts, but mine doesn't. Okay, well, am I going to hit the same mark as she does in the same amount of time? No. So I can sit here and feel really bad about myself because she's losing more weight than I am. Or I can say, you know what? I'm just not going to get there as fast as she is. So let me set a better expectation. It's going to take me a little longer to hit my mark. So if I know that going in, that I cannot do the same thing she's doing, then I'm setting myself up for more success because my mindset is set up for success. I'm going to be more patient. I'm going to have just more realistic expectations that aren't going to lead me down a spiral of, feeling like garbage about myself. So that's the first thing, is I want you to define, what does success mean to you? And then I want you to challenge your expectations. There are a lot of people that'll tell me, well, I know that that's not realistic. I know that I can't accomplish that. Or I know it's okay that, my kid doesn't eat all these foods. Or I know it's okay that, my kid would rather have cookies for breakfast and I can't make him eat eggs or whatever. Okay, but then, so you face that it's okay that you're not a perfect parent, or that you're not, gonna lose the weight quickly, whatever. But then from your, in your day-to-day, you're still holding yourself to that standard because you still feel disappointed or you still feel bad about yourself. So accepting that your expectations need to change is one thing. Defining that success is one thing. But trying to implement a mindset shift throughout your day is completely different. It's that whole easier said than done thing, right? So if I tell myself it's okay that I don't work out every day, but then I feel like crap because I didn't work out every day, well, then that's just talk. I'm not actually implementing this, changing of expectations. But if every day I wake up and I'm like, you know what? I have a tendency to feel bad about myself if I don't accomplish these things. So today, what's my goal? My goal is to be really, really kind to myself because I'm not going to have time. Like, look at my schedule. I'm not going to be able to work out today. But here's why: because my kid has a baseball game, or, I don't know, I have an appointment with whatever. Like, there is a reason that this thing isn't happening, and it's a really important reason. I've chosen to prioritize my time. So think back to the episode I did a while back about I don't have time, right? And the mindset shift of, instead of I don't have time, it's I'm choosing to spend my time differently. I'm choosing not to prioritize this, or there is something else I need to prioritize. Therefore, I can't do this thing. So if I know that I have all these things I want to do, but this takes priority, I need to be okay with the fact that that takes priority. If my decision today is, I am going to have a little bit of free time after work before bed, I could work out, or I could, whatever, clean the house. But instead, I want to sit and play a game with my kid because that's really important too. Well, if I choose that, that's great. I shouldn't feel bad because the dishes didn't get done because I chose to spend time with my kid, or I didn't work out because I chose to play a video game or a board game or whatever with my kid. That's great. But I think what a lot of people struggle with is, but I should have been able to do all of it. I should have been able to play with the kid and do the housework and, the cleaning, the laundry, the dishes, and then, cook the meal and go work out and see the friend, call the family member, whatever. And some days you're going to have rock star days where you do all the things. But most days aren't like that. Most days you're going to have things on your to-do list that just didn't get done. I'm a fan of to-do lists. I feel like I function much, much better with them because there's just too much noise in my head and it's too much chaos. And so if I write it down, I can just work on it. But I make my to-do list, at least I try to make my to-do list with the reality and the knowledge that it's not always going to get done. Some days I'll be amazing and I'll get it all done. A lot of days that's not going to happen. So, you may have to learn how to plan your day better, or you may have to learn to have two lists, the must get done and the would be great to get done. You work through those must get dones, and if you have time left over, you do the would be great. But if all throughout that you really remind yourself, my priority isn't always going to be other people's, priority. If someone else prioritizes come hell or high water, they're going to work out 7 days a week, and I'd love that, but it's just not going to happen, then I can continue beating myself up about it, or I can acknowledge and accept that that's not in my lifestyle. That's not in my schedule. I can't do that. Or I'm going to choose not to do that. So I cannot feel bad about myself when it doesn't get done, right? So other people are going to achieve things that you're not going to achieve. Other people are doing things that you don't know about. You don't know why they're able to achieve things that you can't achieve. You don't know if they have help. You don't know if they're just wired differently. You don't know if they have a different availability of time. It doesn't matter what the reason is. You just have to be okay with knowing that whatever they've achieved, whatever they've accomplished, stop comparing yourself to other people, because it's never going to work out for you. Even if it's your sibling or your twin, you're different people. You are going to do different things. You have different thoughts. You've had different experiences. You have different circumstances in your life. You can never compare yourself to someone else and expect to always feel good about yourself. A lot of the time you're going to feel bad. So the question then is, what do you do about it, right? So if we've talked about creating these expectations and really changing the mindset and working every day on, okay, what is my plan today and how am I going to be okay with what the thing that I can't do? So find, whatever that thing is that's really important to you. If the thing you feel awful about is your body or whatever, or your exercise routine or whatever, then that's a thing you need to focus on today and be like, okay, let me pep talk. Here, I'm starting out my day. Typically I get to the end of the day and I feel really, really bad about myself because I didn't work out, or I'm really feeling bad about myself because my house is a mess and I didn't get to clean it. So that's what you pep talk yourself about. You say, okay, here's all the stuff I have going on today. I'm not going to get all of that done. I need to be okay with the fact that by the end of today, I might feel kind of bad, but I'm not going to allow myself to wallow in that. I'm not going to sit here and just really fester in that thought, in that feeling of, man, I can't believe I just didn't get it done again. And I'm sure what's her name across the street is just, always getting her stuff done, and she never seems to struggle the way I do, or this family member that I see on Facebook's always got it so together, blah, blah, blah. Okay, good for her. That's not happening for you today. Stop feeling sorry for yourself or feeling bad about yourself and focus on preparing yourself to not wallow in that. Focus on the other stuff that you want to do. Make that more important to you. If you know that today you want to spend time with your kid, or you're going to have to, I don't know, make something for the next day that requires your time, cook, whatever, and that takes away time from you working out, that's important. Be proud of yourself. You know what? Yeah, I didn't work out today, but I'm so proud of myself because I cooked for my family, or I came home and I played with my kids. I didn't clean the kitchen today, but I'm so proud of myself because I made sure that I finished my work really, really well and it was a really good product. Or, I spent the time on the phone with a friend who really, really needed my help and was struggling, and I was able to support her or him. Whatever. Change the way you see the things that you're spending your time on. Now, if you are every day feeling like the things you're doing aren't actually important, it's a different conversation. You need to have a conversation with your therapist or whoever about what are you doing with your day. If you come home and all you do, or you don't work and you watch Netflix all day and you do nothing that's productive, you don't feel good about yourself in any way, then you need to be having a conversation about motivation, finding the thing that makes you happy, or the thing that maybe doesn't necessarily make you happy, but it's your responsibility and you need to go do it. So that becomes a conversation about managing the other areas of your life, improving the quality of your life. But if your struggles and the high expectations are rooted more in comparing yourself to others, when you're busting your butt, but it's just not living up to the expectation you've set for yourself, then that's a conversation about expectations. So going back to the no such thing as perfect, if my best today, let's say I wake up and it's just, a hard morning with my kid, or, wake up, you have a flat tire, or there's traffic and you're late to work, whatever. If it's just a day that takes a lot out of you and your best, your 100% when you get home and you're trying to clean up or you're trying to spend time with your kids, if your 100% is kind of, it's not great. If you try to do, or let me rephrase that, not 100%. If your best, if the best effort that you can give and the hardest amount of effort you can put in gets you like 70%, of the things that you needed to do, or quality of the work that you typically do. But if that's your best today, that's your best today. You need to be okay with that. Try again tomorrow. But if you sit here and feel like garbage because your best was not great, or is not as good as someone else's, it's not going to help you out. It's done. Move on. Focus on something else. Focus on something different. If you are comparing yourself to someone else, let's say you're you're helping with an event at your kid's school, and the other moms, they're just so put together and they have all this, they put together the most amazing little basket of whatever for the teacher, and you're kind of like slack. There isn't a whole lot going on your end. You haven't done something as pretty. Maybe you got the gift card for the teacher and the other mom made the tumbler with her Cricut and followed all the Pinterest rules. If you look at that and you're like, I did not make anything personal for that teacher, she's going to notice. Well, if your best was going to get your teacher a gift card, be proud of that. Why does it matter? Why does it matter what someone else does and you don't do it? If you're playing your sport and someone else does better than you, all right, feel bad for a minute and then move on, because it doesn't change it. It's done. Your circumstances led to you being able to give that best. And if your best is not as great as someone else's, oh wow, right? Be okay with that. And if it matters that much to you, okay, do something different next time. Practice more for your sport. Make a point to make a reminder in your calendar the next time there's a teacher's birthday, so you can start working on something weeks ahead and make the product you want to make. But if you have a lot in your life going on and your best is not what other people do, be okay with that. Because there are reasons in your life that prevent you from doing what other people do. And sometimes that's just not your skill. Some things that other people make, I'm like, there is nothing I can do to create that. That's just not, I'm not that amazing of a creative person. So I can feel bad about myself because I don't know how to do that, or I can just accept that I don't know how to do that. And then, one final piece on that, and I think this can maybe be a different part of a different subject as well, or topic, episode, whatever. When you have that feeling, when you see someone else do something that you kind of feel insecure about yourself for, that you're comparing yourself, they did it better, all of that. I think what we sometimes do is we start to feel, well, first we feel bad about ourselves. And second, I think sometimes we start to have this kind of like this judgment of them. And it's not a judgment because they did something wrong. It's more of a like, they think they're so great kind of judgment, you know? Or sometimes it's just like, I don't like that person because they're better than me or whatever. So whatever that is, whatever that negative thing that kind of coats your heart a little bit towards that person because you're comparing yourself and you're feeling bad about yourself in comparison to them, I want you to look at that. I want you to be aware of that, because that then perpetuates this whole comparison thing, and it really just, I think it just magnifies the negative feeling that you have about yourself. And that, it's not about them. I don't care. If you want to judge someone, right? Or listen to my episode where we should be nicer to other people. But if you don't like someone, that's fine. Be very mindful of how you carry that with you. Because if you are very negative in your mind towards someone else, or you feel insecure about yourself in regards to someone else, you'd be surprised how much that changes your mindset about the world. Like, you can kind of just become a bitter person. You can be the kind of person who then just starts feeling very critical of everyone and just opinionated in a way that makes it becomes like a competition, and you just walking through life competing with everyone. And that's a miserable way to exist, because then you don't celebrate yourself and the things that you do well, and you definitely don't celebrate other people. So my challenge to you would be, if you see something online, let's say on Facebook or Instagram, that someone did that is, you have that little moment of comparison, make an effort. Pull up that comment on their post and write something nice to them. If someone does something that you're like, oh, I can't believe she did it better than I did, or oh, I was going to do that and now she did it first and I can't do it, comment on it and be like, that's amazing, you look beautiful, good job, so proud of you, whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. The goal is, it's not about making them feel good. It's about being mindful of what you're putting in your own mind and how you're forming your thoughts and your feelings about other people. Because if you pour that kind of negative like that initial automatic feeling of self-comparison or low self-worth or low self-esteem, because that's going to be automatic a lot of the times. We're not sitting here thinking, oh, I want to feel bad about myself today, let me look at Facebook. No, you come across something, it hits you wrong, you don't feel great about yourself, or it reminds you of something that you're not doing well. That's kind of an automatic thought. So work on challenging that, make an effort to kind of redirect it, do something positive towards that person that you had that feeling towards. And then you'll be amazed at how it changes the way you see that person and how it changes the way you see yourself. Because now what could have been this ruin your day feeling and ruin the way you feel about yourself for the rest of the day feeling now becomes, I poured something positive into someone else. I decided to cut myself some slack because I can't compare myself to other people. Let me distract myself and do something different. It just it changes the whole pathway of that experience. The same thing can be applied to in person. If you come across someone who just looks, does so well. Let's say you're that golfer and your buddy is doing so well, and what you really want to do is say, you know what, I hate you right now. I can't believe you beat me. I can't believe you did better than me. Instead, be like, you know what, good for you, buddy. Good job. You earned it today. You worked hard for it. It just changes the way you're looking at it. It takes that bitterness out of your heart. Same if you see someone that, just is even someone that you don't like. And I've told you about that, with the whole, complimenting people when you'd rather say something negative, like it's just good for you. It's good for you to say good things to other people. It's good for you to be more positive towards other people. But if you see someone who, they look amazing and you're in your, house pants and you feel like kind of a hot mess, tell them how great they look, compliment them on their achievement, whatever. Your goal is to be mindful of your expectations, challenge the expectation that you have for yourself, and then really work to redirect that comparison. Do not compare yourself to other people. You're going to naturally do it. I get it. Just don't wallow in it. Don't sit in it. Don't let it take over. All right. Thank you for being with me today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.